when people call me, even for appointment, they set it up. A lot of people go to my website and fill out the forms. So if someone's listening to me and wondering who in the dickens am I, I'm nancymatz.net. And John, your website is
www.orbsuk.co.uk.
yeah, and so if you were looking at this and wondering who in the dickens we are, those are our websites. And I found it to be so fun to talk to. We thought we'd do this. And then so we're setting up, this is kind of like the third one that we're talking. It was very spontaneous. We were just going to connect. We had a little trouble with Skype, and so we've been futzing with it. And we were start talking about clients. Yesterday I had a client in Hawaii who was so despondent. She and her husband lost their only child, and they both want to die. And we were kind of thinking how we are not taking care of ourselves, and it kind of rolled over to our doing this. And when a client calls me, I try to make sure that they understand that I'm friendly and nice, because a lot of times they'll put us on a pedestal, which is kind of like bizarre to me because there's psychics everywhere in America and over the world that do this, but I'm so no different. I have empathy for you. I have sincere stress with you. You call me and you're under so much stress, you're almost ready to start screaming. You're either in pain from a loss or death in the family, or you're anxious because you don't have a job. Well, you've got to remember, everybody, and I know John can tell you this, is when you call me with that level of stress, what it does is it hits me first, and I have to wade through it to be perfect for you. And we were laughing about the coffee cup and getting ready and sitting down. And then when you call, John may do the same thing on his site or his personal readings, is calm you down, because that's really important. We're just normal folk just like you are, and you don't give us a chance. We want us to be perfect. You want to pay us to be perfect. We can't be unless you relax. And we're always laughing and trying to be relaxed ourselves.
Absolutely, because I think as well. I think that is a key point as well. That we're not always serious. We're not always in that frame of mind of, we're not always in that frame of mind of. I don't know whether awareness is the right way to put it, but the times that I'm lost my keys in the house, or I'm looking for my wallet, or I'm looking, like you said earlier on, I've got one cup here, and then I forgot where I've put it, so I have another cup, and then come up, and then I have two cups, and I'm like, well, which shall I drink first
That
now?
is so funny. I do that so often. And I have
It's like,
a big house. It's
oh.
two-story, and the kitchen's downstairs, my office is up here. And I'm always going like this, and Larry will say, my husband, what are you
You
doing?
do
How
it.
many times do you have to go up and down those stairs? I go, I can't remember where I put my tie. And it's really interesting because I always have a lot on
Oh
my mind.
dear.
I'm writing. I'm doing too many things. I got blogs, I got books, I got unfortunately, at the radio shows, I'm not doing too often, but I always got something going, and I'm thinking of that, and I'll lose my keys, I'll lose where my purse is, and I'll lose my coffee cups, and I have coffee cups. I'm like in that movie. Remember the movie called Signs with Mel Gibson,
Yes.
and his little daughter was always putting cups there.
Yeah.
I'll fill half
Yeah.
the dishwasher up with cups because I've lost them until they've been sitting for a while.
That's right. It's exactly the same. And a phone's another one.
Love this.
Where have I put my phone? Is it here or is it over there?
Uh,
Or and yet, like you say, Nancy, it's peculiar because when you do get a client and they come to you,
yeah.
you do get that other sense of, I don't know whether it's reality that comes over you, or you get that other sense of, you go into that different state, don't you? It's
Hmm.
sort of almost as if we stop being this forgetful wreck or jellyfish or
Klutzy.
whatever. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And it's like you go into this other sort of persona where you take
Yeah.
on. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. It's really strange.
Yeah, let me add to that, because I know what I was trying to share with you earlier before we turned the recorder on. When people call me, I'm trying to be friendly, and because my goal is to get you to know that I'm just a person. I'm really easy to talk to now. It's like I've always been easy to talk to, but I'm very sincere like you are. But when you get into that stage in a read, it's like stepping down a couple of steps from a staircase. You kind of get into a different
Yeah,
mode.
that's it.
And I know I'm going to point to the camera and you too. What I find is interesting, I'd be klutzy or frustrated or anxious or tired, but when I go to do a reading, that altered state allows the human Nancy to recover from the issue, and I do the reading, and then I go back to my issue, and it's all gone.
Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely.
Amazing. It's kind of a
It
form of
is.
a meditation,
It
isn't
is.
it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, alas, it doesn't happen so much now because obviously I'm a little bit older than what I were. But when I actually first started, sort of doing readings many years ago, many when I was a lot younger, people did used to comment on, well, it's like as if you're talking ahead of your years, if you know what I mean, Nancy. It was just as if you were talking like
Hmm.
I don't know if you have ever heard of the expression like an old head on young shoulders. You know,
No,
like,
that's good.
you know what I mean. But people used to say it's just as if it's not really you that's talking, and you know, because bear in mind, I mean, I'm going back when I was like 13, 14, 15, and I would be talking to people that would be 25 about their relationship issues and about, you know, and they would say, well, how do you know? How can you understand?
Yeah.
You know what
Answers
I mean?
beyond yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes I wonder, people, how you talk with friends, and I sit and think of this forever. I have a analytical mind, believe it or not, and get into this doesn't make sense, but an engineering background allows me to think about things from a lot of different angles. So one day I started thinking it might be our higher self. People who are able to see auras and energy fields say that it appears I'm channeling, or spirit people are coming close to me and they're talking to my ear and it comes through this way. It's not transfiguration. I don't know if it's a blending or channeling. I kind of wonder if our higher self is more mature than our physical age.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And the
Absolutely.
higher
Yes,
self is our soul
definitely.
level.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, definitely, Nancy. I think, yeah. I mean, all that I can say is, well, yeah. I mean, I totally see where that is because for years and years, people have said to me, you know, it's as if you talk differently. Some people, I mean, I don't know about this, but some people have even said that when I've done readings, my eyes go a different colour. I mean, I don't know about that, but some people have said that it's like you just go into this altered state and like you say, where it is your higher self. You know, I mean, people will ask me if I believe in reincarnation and have I been here before. I don't know so much about that, but all as I do know, Nancy, is that whatever I've done concerning the spiritual path or spiritual work, um, I've done what I've thought is right, and then when I've gone back and researched it, I've found that other people have done exactly the same. So my answer would be, well,
Ah,
how have I known that if I hadn't either been here before, or like you say, it's your spiritual self that is of a higher, um, an older form, if you know, an older being that's inside this earthly body, perhaps. You know.
let
Um,
me let me put a thought. Let me put a thought there, and I apologize. Um, when not Thomas Jefferson, when Edison invented the light bulb,
yeah,
there was actually four people at the same time, different parts of the world or the country that he was from, England and America too, that were inventing it at the same moment. So I have a sense that our higher consciousness is above us and connected to everybody else around us.
yeah,
And if you're a scientist, you're connected energetically to scientists. If you're a counselor, you're connected to other counselors or other people who are helping other people.
got
Because if my higher consciousness wanted to know something about nuclear science, I wouldn't know who to connect with. I wouldn't know have the right questions. But if I'm in that field, then I will connect to you. I will connect to others for information.
yeah,
So I think there's a source that we connect to, and
absolutely.
it's like a cloud, like clouds going around the earth.
Yes,
And our
yep,
band is purple, because I
yep,
like purple. And we connect to that for information that we give to a client. And that goes with my being in a bad space, not bad space, a confused state or a rush. So whatever people all get into, I'm not really in a bad mood ever. So it's kind of like I get wound up on projects and things and going stuff. So I get into that state where I'm connected to other counselors, obtain information. It puts me in a relaxed state because I'm getting counseling on an unconscious level.
yes. You know what?
So when I counsel clients, I learn from what I give them.
Exactly. I look at that as I call it food for the soul. That's how I perceive that. Food for
Ah,
the soul. Do you know what I mean? And
that's good.
you know, you do get that that food for the soul, and it feed it feeds you your inner part of you, um, that make that for, and then you can move forward, and then you can help others with that as well. But you receive, you do definitely receive food for soul. I mean, sometimes when, I don't know if you've ever sort of felt this as well, Nancy, when sometimes when you're going through a particular, I don't know about a bad time, but you know when you get all rushed and you feel, you know, and life gets in the way, shall we say? When life gets in the way of what you're wanting to do, sometimes you feel that sort of disconnected. That's what
Yeah,
it's like a feeling of a disconnection, and it's an awful feeling because you feel at a loss, and you just feel completely alone in that. And again, I think that's where this food for the soul comes in, because when you get that food for the soul and you reconnect and you get that connection, immediately you get
yeah.
filled back up, you know. And
That's interesting. Like when life drains you and then you get into psychic mode, that higher self fills you back up
yeah,
and relaxes you.
that's it, actually.
I want to say earlier, when I was in California, lived in California before we moved to Arizona, I had lots of opportunities for talks. And I worked for East West Bookstore for 9 years. And one day they complimented me and they said to the group, once every month, and then sometimes they would double up, it'd be twice a month, I'd give a talk. And average 35 people. And I would read them all within the 2 hours and give a little message. And it came to me that people were saying to me, we noticed something interesting. You're talking to the group, and I've always enjoyed that. When I zero in on somebody and look at them, my eyes would off shift. It's like Nancy became blind, and then those people became the focus. And then my higher self or whoever's speaking through me would give the message, and then I would perk up, and then I'd go to the next person, and then
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
switch would happen.
yeah,
My
yeah.
little friend Paula out of California, she said, I always know when you're psychic because your vocabulary is better. And I went, well, is that good? My vocabulary is better.
Yeah,
I don't pronounce words as clearly. And when I'm psychic, I'm more articulate. I thought that was a fascinating comment. I'm
yeah.
like, well, I should go listen to some of my old tapes and see if I sound better than I do normally. That kind of puts me in a place of thinking, well, gosh, everyday Nancy is not as bright as someone
Well,
who's
well,
psychic. I thought, well, I don't know if I like that thought.
I understand them say it because I do. I'll say that to some people myself. The people will, if people watch, they will notice a difference between sort of the ordinary me and the other side to me. There is it's only very subtle, but there is a slight change. Um,
Yeah,
you know, and I don't know. It's like you become. I don't know. It's just you just become tuned in, don't you? But it's really
you
cool.
offset
Yeah,
yourself. You
you
kind of
do.
offset
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
When
yeah,
I've given talks to groups and I talk about out of body experiences, and a lot of these memories come back from the East West Bookstore off of Howe Avenue in Fulton. Was it Fulton? Watt Avenue, somewhere in that area, it doesn't matter. And I one day looked at the audience, and there was a young girl, and her flesh was sitting in the chair, but her soul, her spirit was going boom, 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 kind of like not in her body.
yeah, yeah,
And sometimes when I do readings, I feel like I'm not totally in my body. It's like part of me is connected to the client, and part of me is connected to where it is I go for that information.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's like if I'm not careful, I feel like I'm not here, I'm just above here.
yeah.
It's like I'm out of here.
Yeah, are you out here? Do you find as well?
Yeah.
You know, Nancy, when you do, when you do, I don't know if it's the same, but when I've been on investigations and you like your paranormal investigations and stuff like that, and you go into a building, it's sometimes it's just as if you seeing the building out of sync with everything else. You know what I mean? It's almost as if the
Yes.
place that you are, it's like you're seeing a different a different part of the building that was there that isn't there.
Oh, yeah.
If you know what I mean. So, and it's almost as if it's almost as if it's just sort of a different sort of um, perhaps how to think is the wrong way to put it, but it just feels, I'm here, but at the same time, I'm not here, I'm over here. And it's that slight shift and that slight sort of blip that you turn, that you see, that creates the other alternative reality, for want of a better word, if that's
To see spirit, to see spirit people there, you mean?
not necessarily spirit, but I'm talking, like if you, say if you went into a modern building, right? But then all of a sudden you can be in a modern building and then you get this just overwhelming impression that there's been a fire in this building. But there's
Oh,
no,
sure.
you know what I mean? It's just as if there's like a different reality that you've walked into. Obviously people won't know, but I know sometimes that when I've been, I am a bus driver, believe it or not, and obviously I drive buses up and down in the UK, and there's certain parts where I'll be driving a bus, and then all of a sudden it's just as if the road will completely disappear, and it just feels as
Oh,
if I'm just on a completely different road, and you'll get like a vision of how things used to be where you're driving. You know what I mean? And you'll get
okay.
like and it's just as if you're going through like for a. I mean, it seems as though you're in it for.
Time rift?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It seems as though you sort of, it seems as though you're going through it for ages, but you're only going through it for about 5 or 10 seconds. You know what I mean? And
I can comment on this clearly in England. I'm a little jealous of this. Envy is a bad word, jealous is a bad word, but I stop and think, I go, oh, but look where you live. I mean, you have the history of the ages there. You have 12,000. I mean, all of history started on that part of the world. America, where I'm sitting here in the middle of the gosh darn desert. There was cow patties here for eons where I have my house. There's nothing interesting right here.
oh,
Yet when I lived in Sierra Vista, which was about 25 miles from the Mexican border, um, as a stone would be thrown, not the road. But I could drive a half hour to Tombstone, Arizona, and I had if everybody look up Tombstone, Arizona, that town too tough to die. In fact, I wrote an article on it. It was great. Um, but anyway, talking about walking around town every day, had an office there for a whole year. And that was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me because I would walk around and I purposely turned that little switch on, and I would see different eras. So I started calling it, I would visually layer my psychic energy, and I could see one era, and then I would think about it, and I'd open my eyes, and I could see another era. And sometimes I'd walk around feeling that I was a human being of my era walking around in the 1800s, and I could feel the air being different. And that's only happened there. But that's because that's an older part of the country where I could whisk myself into a slip, a zone, I slipped through time. And it was very disheartening at times because I found myself being dizzy at times. So I feel like that's what you're doing without realizing. I don't drive a vehicle on a certain way. I don't have a job where I think about that, and I can't do that in my house. But I do feel like that's
oh
possible.
yeah.
You and
Yeah, sorry.
go ahead, I want to talk about remote viewing.
You'd love it then if you could, if ever you get to the UK, Nancy, you'd probably be,
Oh,
I mean, because obviously because of the history as well. But yeah, by the way, guys, it's definitely not recommended. If there is a bus driver out there, don't do that while you're driving because it's not recommended. All right, so it's something that I've not looked in, I've not done an awful lot, but it's one of them things, Nancy. When things just happen. And you sometimes you have no control, and all of
right.
a sudden you just get taken, and it's, and
Yeah.
it's just strange. It's just really odd. But yeah, carry on.
I wanted to, I don't want to, I want you to put your input. Don't let me take it all. When you and I connected, I'd worked for George Lopez's Blog Talk radio show, um, Port Paranormal. But anyway, he had invited me to start doing remote viewing, which I do in a normal reading. And clearly in a remote reading and a psychic reading, I have found, and I know you'll agree with this, if I'm talking to somebody when it's nighttime, I can still see their landscape and their house as though all the lights were
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
bright daytime. There's no nighttime in psychic land. So when you were,
No.
so anyway, I got really busy with remote viewing, and I was describing spirit people in different locations. and he would say, Nancy, there's a group from Ohio on, and they're going to do a ghost investigation, and Dom had a whole crew of people with him, and we walked in, and my eye, by the front door, I could tell you what the house looked like. And here I am sitting on the phone with my eyes closed so I get no distractions from the room. People say, well, Nancy, what are you doing? And I'm sitting with my cup of coffee and my eyes closed, and I'm just having a field day going, wow, I'm in someone's, this residence with these spirit people. And it was very fun. I will put this link on because it'd be important. Dom is a paranormal investigative group of Ohio and whatever, whatever. But